Hello, folks, and welcome to Author Adjacent, a show no longer just a podcast about the journey from hobbyist writer to professional author. I'm your host, Michael Badney. Now that 2024 is officially over, it's time to jump into that start of year classic trend, reflecting on the past 12 months and deciding, did we squander our time this year? The good news, we haven't. In this episode of Author Adjacent, I'll go over some fun stats and trends of the 42 books that I read in 2024. I'll share my top reads of the year, the ones that demanded a 5 out of 5 rating because for one reason or another, they just absolutely nailed it for me. I'll even sneak in some honorable mentions, books I didn't rate quite as highly, but I still think are worth bringing to your attention just because I think they're neat. And of course, a quick disclaimer, everything in this video is merely my opinion. If you disagree, that's fantastic. Drop a comment below and we can discuss it like book-loving, story-devouring adults that we are. I also want to apologize if you see this render line passing through me. I'm still figuring out my equipment as we move from podcasting to video show. And as you can see, I still haven't properly calibrated my hologram emitters. We'll get there eventually. As I mentioned before, I read 42 books in the year of 2024. It's the most I've read in a single year by a lot, and I did that very intentionally. As a budding writer, I believe it is very important, even crucial, to be an avid reader. Reading is the second best way to grow your skills, with the first obviously being actually writing in itself. I've said it before, but it's worth repeating. Analyzing other people's writings, figuring out and understanding the story, how it works, what works for you, and what doesn't work for you, but most importantly, why, is very important. While some of this will boil down to just personal opinion and taste, there's a wealth of insight to be gained by intentionally examining how a writer constructs their narrative. With that in mind, let's dive into the stats of the books that I read in 2024. Let's start off by talking about the ratings that I gave these 42 books. 4 of them received a 5 out of 5 rating from me. We'll talk more about this later when we get into the top reads section. 22 of these books received a 4 out of 5. This is where I'll be pulling my honorable mentions from. I then had 13 books get 3 out of 5, which usually means like I enjoyed it, but it wasn't blowing me out of the water. It's just a nice little palate cleanser or mildly entertaining. And then I had 2 books that were 2 out of 5. If a book is 1 out of 5, I do not finish it. And I actually had 2 books that I didn't finish. In both of these cases, they just weren't for me, though a lot of people in the community do seem to enjoy them. As I mentioned, this whole episode is just my opinion. This makes an average rating of 3.68, not including the 2 books I did not finish. And I'll be honest, I feel a little bad about that average rating. As you can see, I don't really hand out a lot of 5 out of 5s. My most common rating is 4 out of 5. And for me, a book has to be more than just exceptional to get that 5 out of 5 rating. It has to really hit the wow factor on multiple fronts. But enough of my guilt and justifications. I kicked off the year on a high note, finishing an impressive 7 books in February. That number quickly dwindled down to averaging about 3 or 4 books a month by mid to end summer, and I even had several months where I only finished 1 book. I think 3 to 4 books is a pace that I can carry into 2025, and I hope to maintain it throughout the whole year, as I find that if I push for more than 1 book a week, I start to not enjoy the process as much and begin to get fatigue and burnt out, which is not enjoyable for anyone. Up next, let's talk about the honorable mentions. These books that I gave a 4 out of 5 rating that may have gotten close to the 5 out of 5, but I still found them to be exceptional and would highly recommend these books to most people. To be clear, these are books that I read in 2024, not necessarily books that came out in 2024. After each title reveal, I'll go over a short blurb in the hopes that I can entice you to pick up one of these books. Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Ames. Clay Cooper and his band were once the best of the best, the meanest, dirtiest, most feared crew of mercenaries this side of the Heartwild. Their glory days long past, the mercs have grown apart, grown old, fat, drunk. or a combination of the three. Then an ex-bandmate turns up at Clay's door with a plea for help. His daughter Rose is trapped in the city besieged by an enemy 100,000 strong and hungry for blood. Rescuing Rose is the kind of mission that only the very brave or very stupid would sign up for. It's time to get the band back together for one last tour across the wild. Never Die by Rob J. Hayes. The Emperor of 10 Kings has plunged Hosa into war, and the gods are angry. When the god of death gives Ian a mission to kill the immortal emperor, he knows he can't do it alone. He needs allies, heroes who will fight for him. How else can an 8-year-old boy hope to do the impossible? Whispering Blade, Iron Gut Chen, the Century Blade, and Flaming Fist. These are all names of legend, and the god of death has given Ian a way to bind them to his cause. There's only one catch. In order to serve him, they must first die. Mushroom Blues by Adrian M. Gibson. 2 years after losing the Spore War, the fungal citizens of Neo-Kanoko suffer under Coprinian occupation. Poverty, food shortages, and corruption plague the war-torn city while racial tensions and criminal gangs thrive. As a harsh winter storm looms, NKPD homicide detective Henrietta Hoffman reluctantly partners with mushroom-headed officer Koji Namako to investigate the gruesome murders of the fungal and half-breed children. Their search takes them into Neo-Kanoko's seedy underbelly, exposing deep-seated decay and dangerous truths. To solve this case, Hoffman must confront her past and embrace fungal traditions, but survival is far from guaranteed. Vermilion Flames by Adam Fernandez. In a shattered solar system, the Republic rules through fear, flames, and bloodshed, while rebels of the Vermilion Coalition fight to end its tyranny. On a terraformed Mercury, Kaya L. Varden searches for answers about her mother's death, only to be sent to Mars under the watchful eye of the Republic's church. There she uncovers hidden truths and must choose between submission or risking everything to take up her mother's fight. Meanwhile, Silas Beckett, hero of the Republic, hunts his elusive nemesis, Hex. As his failures mount, he faces a final chance to secure peace or lose everything. Legacy of the Brightwash by Crystal Matar. Tashue's faith in the law is crumbling. 3 years ago, as a regulation officer, he upheld the authorities' law even when it meant condemning his son, Jason, to the brutal rift for refusing to register as a tainted. But watching Jason wither away has shattered his convictions. When a mutilated, tattooed girl's body washes up on the Brightwash, Tashue is the only one who seems to care. Who was she? Who would tattoo a child and kill her? Haunted by these questions, Tashue must challenge everything he once believed to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. Now let's get into the heart of the episode and talk about my top reads for 2024 and the reasons they earned a 5 out of 5 rating from me. I started the year strong with This Is How You Lose a Time War by Umal El-Motar and Max Gladstone. I'm sorry if I mispronounce these names, as I am only human. I went into this story with no expectations other than that it was a time travel story based on the promise of the title. And a little secret about me, I love time travel stories, especially when they're done well, because they are very easy to just hand wave and be like, oh, time travel fixed it all. But what I discovered is an enchanting tale that weaved love, rivalry, and the complexities of time into what I would consider a modern Shakespearean epic. The story unfolds through a series of letters exchanged between two time-traveling agents of rival factions, an epistolary format that provides an intimate insight into the plot and the characters themselves. At just under 200 pages, it's a masterclass in efficient storytelling, achieving emotional and narrative richness without a single wasted word. The poetic prose and richly developed characters, with their timeless flaws and motivations, explore human relationships and an emotional tug-of-war between love and rivalry. While the lush, layered language can be challenging, I found that the audiobook made this experience a little easier to ingest. with the narrator that brought the lyrical passages and intricate plot twists to life. In short, This Is How to Lose a Time War is a genre-defying masterpiece that combines poetic beauty and a heartfelt story that left me both emotionally fulfilled and intellectually satisfied. In a completely different tone change, my next 5 out of 5 read for 2024 was the Dungeon Crawler Carl series by Matt Dinniman. While not every book is worth a 5 out of 5 in this series, each piece of it hits above its weight class in humor, emotional impact, and just pure entertainment value. So I've seen fit to extend the full rating across the whole series. These books take the familiar dungeon crawler trope prevalent in lit RPGs and flips it on its head by adding an extra element of a reality TV survival game where Earth's destruction becomes entertainment for alien viewers. This bizarre blend sets the stage for what I consider to be the best action comedy I have ever consumed. At the heart of the series is an unlikely partnership between Carl, a relatable and resourceful everyman, and Donut, his diva cat-turned-dungeon partner. Their banter is endlessly entertaining, and their bond grows into something touching over the course of the series. The humor is sharp and irreverent, and perfectly balanced with the darker elements of the story. While every joke may not be for every reader, they're well-timed and never overstay their welcome. Dinniman keeps the readers laughing while also delivering gut-punching moments of tension and emotion. In summary, the Dungeon Crawler Carl series is a wild, addictive ride that never loses sight of its characters or its emotional core, making it a must-read for anybody who enjoys unconventional or epic fantasies. My next top read was The Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wong. This novel is a compelling fusion of both modern and traditional storytelling, immersing the reader in a richly detailed world where the past collides with the present. The story explores themes of family, identity, and the erosion of tradition through its two main characters. First is Mamoru, a young boy who is grappling with the pull of modernism. And second is Misaki, his mother, who struggles to define herself within the confines of a traditional family role. Wong's use of flashbacks adds depth to the characters in the story without slowing it down, weaving memories seamlessly into the narrative, which I have found to be very challenging in a lot of other books, especially stories where stories are told about stories. The depth tends to bog down the narrative, which I didn't find happening here. The prose shines in the action scenes with vivid, precise descriptions of combat that bring the martial aspects of this story to life. The world building is equally impressive, integrating naturally through dialogue and context, with many chapters standing out as fantastic examples of organic storytelling. I had to read this story twice to fully appreciate why it unfolds the way it does, as its plot deliberately breaks away from traditional narratives. Now that I understand it, I can't see the story ending any other way than it actually does. Ultimately, The Sword of Kaigen is a profound and unforgettable tale of sacrifice, family, and the clash between tradition and progress. It's a must-read for any epic fantasy fans. My final 5 out of 5 for 2024 was The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. This book is difficult to describe without giving away some major spoilers, but I'll do my best. It follows two characters, Lyvira and Avar. Lyvira has her life upended when Sabbers attack her settlement, leading to her arrival at the city of Krath, where she becomes a library apprentice. Meanwhile, Avar has spent his entire life with his siblings within that library. If you can't tell, this is no normal library. It's an extra-dimensional space given to the people by the gods. The novel explores profound themes like humanity's propensity for self-destruction, the weight of multi-generational conflict, and the power and responsibility that comes with knowledge. And while all that is great and good, what makes this a 5 out of 5 book for me was the multiple twists that completely changed my understanding of the book and everything that led to the moment of that twist. I normally consider myself an astute reader, but Lawrence pulled this fast one on me multiple times. He expertly manages the reader's understanding of the story, After every major reveal, I had to fight the urge to start the book over armed with the new knowledge that I have gained. The story is lean, yet rich, with no wasted scenes or lines. Every element serves the plot, while also creating well-rounded, realistic characters. The two main characters are compelling, not just because of their circumstance, but because of how they solve their problems, while a strong supporting cast adds depth and flavor to the story. The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence is a nuanced, tightly crafted novel that combines profound themes and unforgettable storytelling, leaving readers eager to turn the next page. All right, folks, that is going to wrap up today's episode of Author Adjacent. Thank you for hanging out with me as I rambled on about my 2024 reads. What was your favorite read of 2024? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to chat and shop anytime. And do me a favor of liking this video and subscribing to the channel. I'm going to be posting videos every 2 weeks with some bonus content thrown in the between space whenever I get a chance. Once again, I'm Mike Vadney. Now remember, the journey from writer to author might be long, but until then, let's be author adjacent together.